Welcome back, my global citizens. Happy 2024 New Year. We have survived some hellish shit. Trump, the coronavirus pandemic, Ukrainian war, and racial unrest. The media, conservative, friends, and even family members have fell into a cult-like trance against being woke. We have condemned truth, compassion, empathy, social justice, unity, and universal love as enemies of being woke. My global citizens, ask yourself, honestly, why would anyone want you to sleep on your life? To be awake and still unaware or unwilling to accept the reality of situations around you that affect your livelihood, well-being, and family is mental slavery. It's not about race, gender, or intellect to those that wish to subjugate others that may not have been born with all the wealth to ease the suffering of life. It's about control. To hide, extend, and maintain this control, the few have created social constructs like race, color, and other bullshit classifications that keep us divided as human beings. Love your culture, heritage, and uniqueness, but know there is only one planet and only one race, the human race. America continues to live up to its reputation as the political sleaze and the home of the slave. 54% of adult Americans have a literacy below a 6th grade level, and 21% of Americans 18 and older are illiterate, according to the National Center for Education Stats. Meaning that at y'all big old age in 2024, you motherfuckers are unable to read or write. Yet, America has the fucking nerve, and I shit you not, wait for it, to ban books. I can't with us. During the 2023 school year, book bans occurred in 153 districts across 33 states. My global citizens, we are in a crisis. We have allowed an aging, out-of-touch, disgruntled population to run our government, dictate the behavior of the next generation, yes, you millennials, Gen Z, and to adversely damage our environment because they don't want to acknowledge fact-based history. Out of the 535 representatives in the Senate and House of Representatives, the average age is 58. 58. Now, I'm not trying to be an ageist. The U.S. Constitution sets a minimum, but not a maximum age threshold for presidents, members of the U.S. Senate, and of the House of Representatives. The minimum age is 35 to be president, and 30 to be a senator, and 25 to be a representative. The Constitution does not set a minimum or a maximum age for Supreme Court justices. These mofos have a lifetime appointment independent of age or experience. Our Congress is too fucking old, period. Duh. My new Stay Woke podcast series, History, Not His Story, will provide fact-based historical receipts of social, economic, and political events that have shaped the cultural narratives from the context of those suffering from oppression, of those seeking fortune at the expense of your happiness in life. There are those that say slavery existed everywhere in the world for centuries since the beginning of civilization. Let's talk about it. Let's start by not fucking around and acknowledging a few truths first, right? So slavery, one, is defined as the ownership of a person as property, especially in regards to their labor. Enslavement is the placement of a person into slavery, therefore forcing them to become a slave or enslaved person. Because it seems that history in our country is not teaching slavery the correct way, like it was extremely beneficial, like Africans sold each other, which part of it is true, but there are other truths to that. Let's go. Slavery has existed in all cultures, nationalities, and religions from ancient times until present day. Victims of slavery were from all cultures, nationalities, religions, from ancient times until present day. This is absolutely true. We can also agree that the social, economic, and legal positions of slaves around the world were experienced very differently, and in different systems, and at different times, and at different places. So slavery was not the same everywhere. But yes, by the time the first civilization emerged in Egypt around 3500 BC or so, slavery was already institutionalized. So yes, I'll concede that slavery was very widespread throughout the planet in Europe, Asia, Middle East, and in Africa. European Christians, Islamic Muslim, both which are derivatives from Judaism, captured and enslaved each other during centuries of brutal warfare. So the critical, though, and the most important point left out of this part of the world, his story, is that the true history tells us that there existed different types of slavery. So let's talk about it. European slavery, which lasted from 1500 to about 1800 and consisted more of a process of assimilation. Slaves were captured during war, were in their minds civilized by teaching them a new language, forcing Christianity on them, and integrating them into a social and cultural structure of European life. Now, Islamic slavery, which lasted from about the 7th to the 20th century, was a social fact in most of the Muslim world. For about nearly 1400 years, with a large number of slaves employed for domestic service as well as commerce. Large-scale agricultural slavery, like plantations and shit, like there was like we had in the U.S. in the South. Those were seldom practiced anywhere in the Muslim world. So let's get to the crucial part. People say, well, Africans sold themselves. There was a certain type of African slavery also. Let's talk about that. In Africa, there was debt slavery, a pledge of a person's services as security for repayment of a debt or obligation. Then there was also enslavement due to war. Tribes in early civilizations would enslave captives after battle and integrate them into their society as personal servants or part of the family structure. Then there was military slavery. Warriors who were enslaved to their masters would have a duty to serve in their king's or ruler's military army as a primary responsibility. And lastly, there was criminal slavery. This was punishment for breaking the law until one's debt is being paid. So yes, my global citizens, slavery existed all over the world, but very different types of slavery. And it's very important for us to always do one thing: know your history, not his story.